Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Samar Hassan and I'm the founder of Epiphany. जैसे कि आप लोग जानते हैं मेरा नाम समर हसन है और मैं Epiphany की फाउंडर हूँ। और आज हम वापस आ गए हैं अपनी 15वीं एपिसोड के साथ Epiphany Talks के ऊपर। Epiphany Talks क्यों हम करते हैं, क्या रीजन है, थोड़ा सा इसके बारे में बताना चाहूंगी। Epiphany Talks हमने शुरू किया था अप्रैल के अंदर, once कोविड जब फाइनली पाकिस्तान पहुंचा, और उसका रीजन ये था कि वी वांटेड टू हेल्प डिफरेंट स्टार्टअप्स नेविगेट थ्रू कोविड। एक तो रीजन ये था कि जो कोविड की वजह से जो प्रॉब्लम्स फेस कर रहे थे उसके ऊपर हम क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज, क्या हेल्प ऑफर कर सकते हैं। दूसरी साइड पे हमने इसलिए स्टार्ट किया था बिकॉज बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जो कि पॉजिटिवली या नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट हो रही हैं कोविड की वजह से। सो वी वांटेड टू एक्सप्लोर कि क्या इम्पैक्ट है कोविड का उन इंडस्ट्रीज के ऊपर और कैसे हम उसको टैकल करें, कैसे हम उनको एडवाइस या कनेक्शंस उनके हेल्प करें बिल्ड करने में। तो ये तमाम जो रीजंस थे जिसकी वजह से हमने एपिफनी टॉक स्टार्ट किया। आई एम डिलाइटेड बिकॉज आज का टॉपिक अगेन ई स्पोर्ट्स के ऊपर है। जैसा कि आपको मालूम है हमने काफी सारे सेशंस गेमिंग पे किए हैं। So obviously we will have to conduct most the session in English, since our guests are all international. Our moderator as well. You guys will be delighted to hear that it's not me as your moderator. Okay, it's actually Reinout. We did announce last week that we were going to have him come back and host the session. So we're absolutely delighted that today we have him again. So very quickly, without much ado, I'm going to welcome him to the online stage. Hello, Reinout. Welcome back.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. And
yes, absolutely.
My favorite topic, huh?
Yes, your favorite topic. So, Reinout, do you want to quickly introduce yourself, and then I will, hand over the panelists to you.
Yeah. So this is going to take about half an hour. No, that's a joke. Well, as I said last week, and then for the people that are new, I'm now for more than 20 years in gaming. Again, I'm the dinosaur. When we started in gaming, you actually had to download games and pay for it. How odd. And these days you can play games everywhere. It's free. We've seen game development going from a couple of thousand up to millions right now. I have started several companies, lost one down the road, which didn't work out, but the other 7 I sold. We've seen companies going IPO. And after that, I've been investing in gaming companies, but also, mostly trying to find or scout interesting teams, people, keeping track, obviously, what gaming is all about. And esports, 2008, I had the first team at my kitchen table. And we were talking about it, but it was way too early at the time. And today it's there, and right away make the bridge to COVID, but also to the lovely ladies that are going to come into the show later on, Dana and AJ. I'm very happy they're there because the US has the scholarships. I keep on saying it to everyone. It's actually education. Obviously, I that's sort of a hobby project for me, coding in the classroom, but digital in the classroom. I think that's really important. And then, if you can actually become a professional gamer through scholarships, I think we should actually get them in and just get it started.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let me add Dana and AJ both to the stream. Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, everyone. Hi. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So maybe like half a liner of an intro. So Dana is the director of esports at Grandview University in the US, where it's 10 a.m. right now. Reinout is joining us from the Netherlands, where it is 5:05 p.m. And AJ is joining us as the esports coach from Park University, again from the US. So ladies, feel free to have your coffee, enjoy yourselves, and I'm going to, disappear from the screen because, like I said, today is Reinout who's leading the show. Okay. Yeah. See you guys later.
Well, first of all, welcome. To get a quick introduction, I think what was said to us before is that a lot of people are not completely aware about esports. So can I ask you, Dana, first to explain a little bit about yourself and then your definition of esports?
Sure. Well, my name is Dana Hustedt. I am the director of esports at Grandview University in Des Moines, Iowa. And we started the first esports program in Iowa, as well as the first to offer scholarships. We also were a very early pioneer in the U.S. to get a collegiate program started, and we offer scholarships, ranging from maybe 1,000 to 20,000. It just is very dependent on what we are capable of doing. And then what is esports, right? Everybody's like, oh, it's just a video game. Well, no, it's the competitive world of video games where we can be playing on PC, console, even mobile. And that's what the beauty of this is. And it's able to range from, K to gray. That's what makes this exciting. And
Yeah.
we're able to attract such a wide variety of a population. And esports as a whole is just extremely fun when it can go to that competitive level, but also in this K-12 space that we're starting to develop here in the US.
Got it. Got it. And Ashley?
Yeah, so I'm AJ, the esports coach at Park University. We got started in the spring of 2019 is when we started competing. We were the first university within the Kansas City area to pursue a varsity esports program. And just like Dana said, it's more than just sitting down and playing video games. It's people coming together. It creates community within your university, within your greater area. So it really just helps connect folks. And unlike traditional sports, you're able to anybody and everybody can come and participate. And just like Dana, we do offer the esports scholarships as well. So anybody and everybody, we're all welcome in this world. So that's big for us.
Cool. So I guess you had similar like I had 2019. It was gearing up. I mean, not only on the gaming side as in development, M&A transactions, but everyone was talking about esports. Cooler, bigger, better, all kinds of news, investments in gaming and in esports. Obviously, Will Smith got involved in esports and everyone was saying, hallelujah, praise the Lord. And then we were expecting 220 to hit it really big. To me, I basically got stopped by mid-Feb, where instantly we saw some events not happening, not only the GDCs and other kinds of game career fairs, but definitely also esports. So can you take me through what you guys experienced in terms of, on one hand, the schooling system, on the other hand, the events, and how, well, maybe not slowly, but how you actually saw that online was taking over, and really interested in how you see the rest of 220 on that. Whoever likes to start.
Great. Yeah. Well, so pre-COVID, we were in full swing of things at the, from January to March, our seasons were happening, competitive seasons for Collegiate were going on. And then we all hit the spring break mark, that second week of March, and all of our events were off. All the schools are sending their students home. What do we do? Are we able to continue our seasons? Those publishers actually decided to pause the season, suspend it for the current time being until maybe students could get somewhere where we could make it all work. But in the end, no, everything ended up being canceled. And then prize pools, were dedicated in their specific ways with each publisher. But overall, now that post-COVID, or maybe we're still in COVID technically, but as this has progressed, we can still do a lot of our online competition and create that engagement with our students, because that's the beauty of esports, right? We are all connected online. Technology is a great thing, and we can still be playing a lot of our games, just not in our competitive collegiate seasons at this moment. Now, some have resumed play, but that's another step that we're all going to have to take now, where we all make this entrance back into our school years if people are planning to reopen and those kinds of things. What are those publishers and those collegiate seasons going to make their executive decision on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for us at Park, kind of the same deal. We had all of our students on spring break, and then they just never got back to campus after spring break. So it all happened really quickly. The email went out. I had to get a hold of all of my athletes and let them know, like, hey, unfortunately, we're gonna have to kind of press pause on what we're doing. So a lot of what we tried to do kind of in the interim. We weren't able to complete our seasons. We had to pull out of all of our tournaments. But, what we tried to do just to keep the athletes engaged is I just personally threw them small tournaments just within the group. So I had my Rocket League team and my League of Legends team. They got together and they played a Brawlhalla tournament or a Warzone tournament. So just trying to keep them connected to each other, keep them somewhat normalcy kind of in their lives. So we suffered from kind of being at home, but we were able to still be connected. And then we were able to get our Rocket League team to participate in the summer series that's been going on for CCA. So they've been able to play from home. We've been able to compete from home. So again, just trying to slowly get them back into the swing of things. And, we've worked on this past week or two. We've put a really big emphasis on what we kind of need to do in our physical space on campus. We've gone through and have been able to socially distance a lot of our computers. We're looking at acquiring a second space on campus to put the leftover ones that we just don't have the room for, and just a secondary space on campus to try to utilize. So, we hope to have students at least on campus to compete, kind of within the space, wearing the masks, socially distanced type deal. But, it may come to a point where we've got a lot of our teams just kind of practicing from home, and we just need to kind of monitor and navigate that when we get there.
Yeah. So take me through your daily activities, because I see esports coach. I mean, you wake up. How does a day out of your life look like? I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, I have a health coach, but not an esports coach.
Yeah, it's I'll say it's pretty wild. I had some previous esports experience before stepping into this role. A lot of it was just for smaller esports organizations. I mostly volunteered to help with their social media or event coordinating, team management type of things. And then once I kind of got into this role, there's not really a playbook per se at this point in time. Everybody's still kind of learning from each other, which has been really awesome. Being able to learn from people like Dana, who have been doing this for 4 years, I think, at this point in time. So just being able to reach out to those folks that have been doing it for a while and connect was really helpful. But, you wake up, for me, I'm the only dedicated staff member for our program. So I'm in charge of both of the League of Legends teams, both of the Rocket League teams, and the Overwatch team. So, practices are a little stacked. I kind of have to bleed everything together a little bit. So, attending practices, making sure that they're also academically staying qualified. Everybody, newcoming freshmen and transfer students, they've got to do their study hall hours, they've got to do their gym hours. So just keeping track of not only the things that are going on within practice and competitions, but also just more holistically taking care of the student and making sure that they're on the path to graduation. They're working out, we're eating better, we're sleeping. So really it's just a lot of of making sure that we're pointing them in the right direction and getting them to where they need to go.
Just for my view here, I mean, how many kids are we talking about, and is this something that goes organic, that I don't know, they talk to each other and says like, oh, I'm trying to get a professional career in esports? Does it go the same like they do in whatever, American football?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I do have a few pretty ambitious, I would say. A lot of I've got a few Rocket League players that are pretty ambitious, that want to go to the semi-pro pipeline. But then you get students that get into the program, and after a couple of months they'll walk into my office and like, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to do an esports coaching job. I want to do an esports management, I'm broadcasting, shoutcasting. So there's a lot of different avenues that they would like to go in, and sometimes it's really fun to kind of see that shift in them change when they figure out that they get here and figure out this is what they're passionate about and what they want to pursue.
Yeah. Hey, and then I was reading about the university. You actually sent me a link. I was checking it out, the Grandview University, and you're already working on a planning for the fall of 2020. It's intriguing me. The reason why is that I think it's good that you're planning ahead. But what are your plans actually for 220, the remaining of 220, if you look at your day-to-day work?
Yeah, well, it's funny because my job has actually gotten probably more busy because of this than I was before, and I was really busy then too.
Yeah,
So this is just an added stressor where now we are all tasked at our university with creating contingency planning for, you know, what if we go back to school? How are we going back to school? Is it a hybrid format, high flex? Everybody's doing something different, all online. What does that mean for esports, right? So I have a plan A through D, and I am fully prepared for any of those particular situations. Um, right now, our plan is that we are going to be coming back to school in a high flex model where our students are able to come and live here residentially, which
yeah,
is good for us with esports because we have a great facility. We want them to be able to utilize that with the social distancing measures and those contingency plans that we have put in place in order to make our facility usable. Um, and then also by still able to create that atmosphere and engagement and team cohesiveness that we need to still prepare for our spring seasons. Fall is a developmental time for a lot of us in our to prepare for the collegiate varsity seasons that typically happen in the spring. Now some games do happen in the fall, that's fine. But generally this is our really grinding time where we're trying to practice a lot of hours, and so able to prepare them for that. And it's extremely important that our universities have these plans in place so the students do feel one safe returning, right? That's the whole goal.
yeah,
But then also that how are we still going to engage them by being able to participate in esports and their passion? We don't want them to take a year off of school because then that stops the student progression of finishing the degree, right?
yeah,
A lot of students still have been having those conversations. You can see headlines from all of the large newspapers that say, hey, students aren't going to go back. They're going to take a gap year. Well, that's what our institutions really have to work on right now over these last few months of how do we get those students to stay and retain them? And then also still encourage those incoming freshmen who are planning on coming to school from not saying, no, I'm not going this year.
yeah,
And that's extremely important for all of us as an institution as a whole, but extremely for esports because most of us are set on an enrollment driver where we are a crucial part of creating revenue streams for the schools.
yeah,
um, and that's a heavy burden to carry too for a lot of us where we have to have institutional numbers hit, and if we fall through, then that's not good for everybody.
yeah,
So overall, COVID has just created this larger stressor than we needed, but I think many of us now are starting to bounce those ideas off of each other and figure out how we're going to utilize our spaces, even if it's at half capacity, or renting your machines out to take them to their rooms. Right? They each have to check out a machine so we can still conduct practice because luckily, again, esports is online, and we can still be functioning.
yeah. I'm seeing you guys are sitting in these very esports kind of chairs. I'm seeing, well, yes, you're talking about high tech, you talk about computers, a campus, facilities, well, money makes the world go around. Is this all being paid by the schooling system itself? We actually were emailing and what was it, 194 million was invested in this June to 20 only in esports. Are you guys working with sponsors? Is there a program from state, university? How are things are getting paid? I mean, and then the last question, or the following question: if you guys are winning money, is that money for you, player, or university? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, two really great things there. One, that money that we were talking about was overall invested into esports and more in the professional scene. Now at our level, right, in collegiate, we are always campaigning for sponsorships and partnerships. That's just a daily thing, I think, for all of us. But really is now the time to go because we need to still be able to provide for our programs and hopefully get better equipment, all of those kinds of things. And also with the sponsorship and media deals, like we were talking before, it's extremely crucial revenue stream for the professional leagues. But that's also something that can also help our programs help take some of the financial burden off of us, where we may only have a very small operating budget or just a dedicated budget from our schools. Our schools typically, in my case and several other colleges, we are funded by our school. We get a set amount of money per year to use. That can either be for scholarships and operating budget, or they could be separate. And I think it's just extremely interesting to see how a lot of our people are now going to spend their money this upcoming year if everything's going to be online. You're not going to be traveling to lands. How are you going to still use your money to make maybe more cool gear for your students?
Yeah.
All of those things, but still creating those sponsorship and partnerships with those companies, because you're going to get a lot of Twitch time or YouTube time. We have to continue branding our schools, but also each student individually, and how we can continue to progress them through their path of esports if they're trying to get to that next level.
Yeah. How's it for you, AJ?
Yeah, for us, pretty much the same type deal, with I think for our first build out of this space, a lot of our equipment was actually we've got a kind of a committee on campus, the tech fee committee. So each student has to pay X amount of dollars as a tech fee that's kind of bundled in with their tuition and fees. So kind of with a bulk of our space, at least the equipment within the space was helped actually paid for by the students, which was really awesome. The rest of what we have kind of moving forward is set aside by the school. We've got our esports budget and we have our scholarship budget as well. And then as far as sponsorships, that's something that I've also been pursuing more so over this summer, especially since a lot of our traditional sports are still a little unsure if they're going to be kind of participating as normal. So if we're able to kind of leverage our ability to still compete as normal as we can be, if we're still maybe the only sport that's on campus that's actively competing, being able to have the sponsorship deals there, more of that would go to esports than say maybe at the baseball field and you've got the big thing that hangs on the fence. At this point in time they may put that money towards things that will actually be seen, and that's pretty much what the esports program, that's what it may turn out to be in the fall semester.
Yeah, we're being pushed pretty hard because we could very well be the only sport that's functioning. So we need to be able to be representing our campus and that championship lifestyle that we are trying to build, and through all of our other sports of being a very high level of competitor. Now we need to transfer that to esports, and we're going to get a lot more attention by our campus, right? And that's always good. But also being able to provide that for our campus, because we are in that unique situation.
Funny, because you touched the topic. So I guess you guys also have basketball teams. Have you guys seen maybe those players actually go online just to kill time and maybe spend time with? Because I think 2K NBA or something, what was it? That did very well. It had primetime airtime, right? In the US.
Madden, FIFA. We're also seeing the 2K tournaments popping up, the iRacing. That's I'm very happy popping really. And then let's see.
But have you seen the crossover? Because over here, for example, I'm mentioning all the time NASCAR. It's the older folks that go to the track, want to watch NASCAR. And well, now there was no one on the track. So then they went actually to watch online because the drivers actually started to train online, which they normally did anyways, but then more for themselves. Same here with Formula One. Over here, Formula One is really popular. We have this Dutch guy, Max Verstappen. Basically has a crap season already, but never mind. But he has been training a lot. He even has done the 24 hours of Le Mans. I mean, there are people that actually watched 24 hours to any screen, just seeing guys doing simulation, because that's what it is. So what I'm trying to figure out is were there people that were playing the normal sports that suddenly did try esports?
So it's funny that you bring that up. So actually,
I
one
hope
of the
so.
soccer players at Park, he helps out the athletic department by creating a lot of like hype videos and content for athletics, and he helped me out on an esports video recently, and he was telling me that him and the rest of the soccer players, they've just been playing a bunch of FIFA, and
Yeah.
like, when are you guys gonna get a FIFA team? And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I can't steal you from the soccer team because I've already taken at least two people from. No, I didn't take them. They played Rocket League and they played soccer,
Yeah.
but they've decided to stop playing soccer to play Rocket League instead. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it has been kind of interesting to see the shift. I did have one player that he played soccer in the fall, where is when we usually play soccer, and then in the spring he came to play Rocket League for me. So, so yeah, it's been interesting to see, just to kind of see the traditional athletes, because like you said, the soccer players are playing FIFA,
Yeah.
our basketball players are playing 2K, and they do come and they come and they hang out with our esports athletes. If we've got the consoles, if they're open, they'll come and they'll fire up FIFA. So it's actually been great. It's kind of been a great tool to be able to connect the esports athletes to the traditional athletes for us.
Yeah.
I've definitely taken traditional athletes, and I said sorry, but at the same time, some of them have been better at their esport than their sport, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's been good. A lot of those coaches are understanding, and some of these players actually have a really good passion for esports that they didn't really realize, and then they found out that I was here and having this program, and we were able to really put together some quality teams from kids who quit traditional sports.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, David Beckham, the soccer player, started to invest in an esports company organization. You actually have to say. So for whoever is watching right now, if you say company, they blow your head off. It's an esports organization. So there you go. And interesting, because he might actually connect that with his Miami soccer team, which is not out of the blue yet. I think he has to change his name. Or was it Inter Miami or something? And it actually, people ask me like, okay, is that good or not good for esports? And I said, well, at least he's bringing new eyeballs. I don't know if his investment is good. Time will tell. But he's bringing new eyeballs to the table for esports. And that also made me the comparison with Paris Saint-Germain, a very large team, soccer team here in Europe. They basically don't do anything with FIFA. They have a small FIFA team, but that's not their main focus. They basically are in other kinds of leagues, like League of Legends, Dota. So they basically have acquired an organization in Asia. And with that, they were able to reach so many other different kind of audience that are not watching soccer, but they got familiar with the brand PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. And through that, they basically got a huge investor from Asia because they want to reach that audience. So question to you guys, are you seeing maybe also a way that you attract different kind of students because you have something like an esports program? People that normally might have said, why the hell would I go to you guys? Is it a driver, an attracting factor?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually the reason why we started our program. And a lot of the schools in the US have been doing that because we can attract a different population that wasn't necessarily going to be attending college or thought that they were going to, and then let alone get a scholarship, right, to be in esports.
Okay, hold on. Why not? Why did you think they would not go to college? Because that's interesting. They didn't want to study. They would just sit in their bathroom and just try to become an esports player, which might miserably fail.
Yeah, I think Ashley and I both have seen that a lot of them want to be playing and they want to try to go semi-pro or amateur and then try to work their way up the ranks. But now we're trying to create a similar model of what a traditional sport does, right? You have your minor, major, you work up into high school, go to college, you can play AA, AAA, A ball. That's the kind of thing that now with esports, by introducing this collegiate ecosystem, we are able to provide them that next level to prepare them to maybe push to get into that semi-pro academy and professional. Yet in North America, we are a little bit underdeveloped in that area of trying to push our collegiate into that scene of the academy and the pro and getting them picked up. But yeah, a lot of these students not necessarily thought that school was their route. Sometimes they're your non-traditional student, and that's not a bad thing either.
Thank
They
you.
just have different interests and different hobbies, obviously.
Yeah.
And school may or may not have always been at the forefront.
Yeah. And then age, I mean, because you were, so what is the typical age that you're aiming at? Is that going as young as 12, or are we 15, or what age is your
Sure.
target?
My college range is typically 18, right when they're graduating high school. AJ, have you been recruiting anybody younger than that in the high school ranks? I mean, I have contacts in the high schools. I tell them to keep me on their radar. I don't typically
Yeah.
speak with them until like their junior year.
So you scout.
Yeah.
You guys are scouting.
Mhm.
AJ?
Yeah, and same. I probably will, if I've gotten a few emails from, freshmen that were in high school, and I'll just kind of give them the 3,000-foot view, just kind of introduce them to us and who we are.
Yeah.
It's somebody that I'll kind of just keep tabs on, just kind of check in with them. But really kind of the junior senior year is when, you're kind of out there actively looking, making contacts with, for us, we get a lot of students just from the Kansas City area and kind of a little bit more outside that as well. I've gotten a few international athletes, but we're pretty centered in Kansas City. So, just keeping really close tabs also with our admissions department and our high school relations manager, making sure that relationship, making sure that we're keeping them updated on what we're doing, if we've added any new games that we need to start recruiting for. They've been really helpful as well to help just try to continue the recruitment process for us.
So we're talking 18 years old. So for the people that are watching it, so that is actually when you're going to study. Hence, what Dana was saying, a lot of them might have actually thought like, okay, I'm going to work and maybe be a gamer by night. But what you guys are saying is that there is a convincing factor of at least have a shot to fame within esports. And therefore, I might actually sign up with you guys on your universities.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as our collegiate systems are really improving and some of the schools are really just surging up and they're getting some of the top talent and the top coaching staffs, those people are typically getting some of the coaching from maybe former pros or former academy coaches. And that's the next thing right now that our collegiate ecosystem is trying to do. All of us are trying to get more coaches and staff that are able to come back from those ranks to be able to teach the game or maybe even manage the game. And that would be extremely important to all of us for us to continue to improve our programs. That's a lot of exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. If you got somebody in your coaching staff that did used to play in the pros or used to coach in the pros, that's a huge pull for students, especially the ones that are just really integrated into their game. You may have the player that just plays Overwatch, doesn't really follow the pro scene or contenders or anything like that. But if you've got a player that not only plays it but actively follows the players, the coaching staff, the shoutcasters, the broadcasters, if you could hook, one of those ex-professionals, in any of those roles, if you could land them within your program, a lot of students that are integrated into that community, it's going to take notice.
They'll go to them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of funny because when I sent you guys an email, I said, okay, I'm going to put a statement in there. And it literally was esports should be mandatory in school and or kids should be educated on it in its basics. Normally, if I would send it to people, it's like a huge discussion. With you guys, I already know the answer. So, but let me rephrase the question. Right now, you guys are focusing on the universities, but let's see if we go a little bit more younger. At what typical age would you think is it responsible to start teaching, explaining, educating in a sense by playing esports. I mean, what is your view there?
I've seen it as young as 8. I think that's a pretty good age. A lot of them are playing Minecraft probably at that time, or
Yeah.
their parents have introduced them to maybe Super Mario. I don't know, something like that.
No Call of Duty.
No Call of Duties yet, I don't think. Now that's
seen a kid of
maybe
5
watching it.
actually
I don't
shoot.
know.
Yeah, I know.
I
I
wasn't
saw
at
it.
my house. I know that.
No, I hope no one has. But really, in Australia, I had a huge fight on LinkedIn because someone was saying like, "Oh, wonderful headshot, kid of 5-year-old." I mean, it was a wonderful headshot, I have to say. But that's why I draw the line. So very nice. You started about Minecraft and Mario. But 8, you said at 8, and then the responsible games.
Yeah, and we're lucky because the games all have those ratings. So typically they do a pretty good job of keeping them in the right age range, right? E or 13, whatever. And I think that's extremely important for parents also, because parents are always having the issue with this, right? So the more we educate the parent to understand the big scheme of what esports is and why it is important and can be good for this student, introducing them early is okay, especially if it's in that Minecraft world. They're learning their architectural skills, they're learning business skills, and those are the things we want to teach, right? Outside of just gaming.
Yeah, and I think around that age as well, I mean, we all remember like the first thing, like the first career that we wanted to be when we were younger, and by this point in time, you've got these younger kids that are aware that professional esports is a thing. They're now seeing it on TV. They're seeing it all over the internet in general. So they're able to kind of start formulating if that is something that they do want to pursue. So around that age, if you've got parent buy-in, which is huge, they're also going to be the ones to be able to start those healthy habits as well, making sure that your child does have time to play the game and practice, but also letting them know that it's also important to perform at your best. You need to get the right amount of sleep, you need to eat the right things, you need to still physical activity. So I think around that age, they're old enough to see, hey, this may be something that I want to do, and also old enough to understand that to be able to get to that point, these are the other things that I have to supplement my passion with.
Communities. I mean, it all ties down a bit to what we have been discussing. So obviously your students can stream. Do you let them stream by themselves, or do you stream as a coalition? Obviously that could benefit your sponsorships. So besides teaching them healthy food, playing obviously in tournaments, any esports organization has either a streamer or the players itself that stream to connect with the community, to definitely engage, and through that obviously make sure that the sponsor will be happy. Is that similar with you?
Yeah, AJ.
Yeah, so we I think for me, just kind of speaking at the university level, this past year, one of my biggest goals this past year was to make sure that the esports players got the recognition that they deserved. It's really easy for the basketball team, okay, basketball game, that you have to go to that certain place on campus where they go play basketball. But for esports, nobody really knew how to watch us, nobody really knew how to support us. So one of my main goals was to make sure that every single one of our competitive matches were streamed. Even if I have to sit in the shoutcasting room by myself and get it done, it was gonna get done. So so I think for us, making sure that our students have that visibility, making sure that they feel like they are an actual athlete for their university. They've got a fan base, they've got their university, supporting them. So that was really important for me. And then, I do have a few athletes that, they stream on their own time. It's for fun. We don't, every once in a while I will, kind of check in and just, make sure, since a lot of them, tout that they are on, the Park Esports team. So, just kind of what you do with the social media, just kind of check in on their accounts every once in a while, make sure there's nothing outrageous on there. But just kind of, and some of them will come to you and ask, hey, I do want to start streaming, or I do want to start, creating a community, and where they're kind of able to help each other in that sense as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how we have our streams for us.
Yeah, we definitely are streaming all of our matches. And then I actually don't put any ads or any of our sponsor stuff on our specific personal students' pages. But I do encourage them to, one, they still need to be acting responsibly, all those things of representing Grandview, because one, they're representing Grandview, but they're also representing me as Dana. And that's extremely important. And they know that when they walk in the door and sign here. And then the next thing is creating their personal brand is one of the next things that we're going to be doing this year. Helping them if they really want to take it to the next level and try to get more subscribers, all of that kind of thing. But on our regular Grandview Twitch page, I will host my players on there. So if somebody wants to see what my players are doing, they can go check it out, under the understanding of that on their personal time that's not necessarily affiliated with me.
Yeah. Funny. Topic number legal. You just mentioned something like, okay, so if they want to do personal branding, obviously they're not going to call themselves by their own names. They also have fun, creative names. That's potential IP, of course. Do you also have legal advice? Because if you take on a name and you make it very popular, and later on that name seems to be close to a brand or whatever, then you can start all over. So do you have something on the advisory, how to, you just touched it, huh? I mean, personal branding. How are you assisting them? Is that with social media? Is that with how you communicate? Because obviously lately we've also seen some negative scenarios where people were using bad words, or well, you're in front of lots of kids, so you need to be responsible. Is that also that you guys are facilitating that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, just kind of like you said, there's been some not so great things that have kind of been, the light has been shed on within the past couple of weeks within the esports community.
It's a microscope now.
Yeah, right. So for me, and I think Dana will, they realize that, they are representative of more than just themselves when they are, with us, when they are on our teams, when they are practicing with us, competing with us. So, the conversation, that's one of the ones that I have first, even during tryouts, making sure that the individuals that come into the program, they realize that, you're not gonna be able to flame. I don't know how else to say that word, but like, you have to treat everybody with respect. There's no
no cursing, no bad mouth.
Right.
Don't say eep, kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So, they do realize again that there's more to them competing for their university than just themselves. So, making sure that conversation is had up front is important, because also having that conversation even at the tryout level, even when you're just kind of getting to know a recruit, sometimes that conversation kind of leads you to figure out that maybe this player doesn't really fit into your fabric, into your community. So it's just super important to have early on.
But I mean, if you listen in when someone is playing soccer, American football, whatever, where do you draw the line? I mean, if you see kids these days watch YouTube, Twitch, I mean, the louder the influencer, I would say, is yelling and cursing, the more they embrace it. Where do you draw the line? Just for me, can you say the F word, or do you have to say darn?
That's a good data. Go ahead.
Well, see, in person, if no camera's on, that's different, right? But when the camera's on, a lot of that with our student and even in games, right, in competition, we really strive to make sure that any of the cursing is very, very low. And then also this upcoming year, we're going to be implementing a new program that's going to monitor some of those things of what's going on in game. And we're very excited to work with this company. I'm not going to be, I can't speak about it yet, but we will be putting that on our computers here so we can help progress that area of preventing the harassment and all of those kind of things and the negative language. So I think that should be something that's comforting to parents as well, because people are starting to implement those things. And it's just going to become more and more prevalent because, like you say, we are under a microscope, literally every single move that we're doing. And that goes in our personal lives too. So if they're associated with Grandview Esports and I hear something or I'm made aware of it, we actually have a process that goes on to review what happened. And then we make an executive decision of what's going to happen, their participation, all of those things. And they know that when they walk in the door, right? Because Dana has a very strict line and you're not going to walk over it.
Cool. So esports, I'm seeing the background. Not sure if you guys are seeing it. It's an image. I think it was the first in Google Images that they could find. It's a big stadium, lots of people. I mean, been there, done it. Are we going to see it back? And Dana, you told me you were in Shanghai with Riot. I mean, it could have been a finale with League of Legends, right?
Yeah, coming up here this fall. And right now, they said it was postponed kind of, or they're trying to decide what the next plan is going to be, if they're going to play it remotely with the teams or they're going to do similar to maybe a NBA bubble type. We really don't know yet. But for live events for the foreseeable future, at least through 2020, these last 6 months, I would say we're not going to see live events happening. And most of the organizers even have said it's likely going to be spring of 21, pending what goes on. If there's a second wave, like they say, really don't know. So it's going to be tough.
Do you think we might then see smaller tournaments? I mean, the image that you see now in the background, I mean, that's grande, as we say. But would then be smaller local events that can still be broadcasted be more of an option? I mean,
I think it's going to depend on where you're at and what state you're in, what kind of the quarantine rules. But a lot of these leagues and tournaments are still going to be able to go on because the broadcasting now can be done if they're just sitting at home playing, right? And I think we're going to see a lot of that obviously be happening because the show still has to go on. We still need to be competing. People are still going to compete even if it's not broadcasted. But a lot of those companies are making that adjustment right now, and you're going to be seeing Riot, Tencent, ESL, those people. We're still going to be putting on production.
Yes. For us, so we actually, there's a local group in Kansas City called KC Game On, and we got a really close connection with them. They host like bi-monthly tournaments where we shove like 300 people within the underground and a bunch of classrooms, and we just play video games and tournaments all night. So, you know, we had one that was already paid for on the books for April, and, you know, obviously we did have to go ahead and cancel that one. And we do know our university, at least, we're not going to have any outside vendors or events happening on our campus, until the possibility, for spring of 21. So, I think the smaller events, I think maybe even the smaller events would probably need to be postponed until a next year type situation, depending on how things continue to play out. But yeah, the tournament, I do love this image. We did in the spring of 2019 when the LCS spring finals, they were held in St. Louis, Missouri. So I was actually able to get all of my athletes on a train. We went from Kansas City all the way to St. Louis, and the whole team was there, and we were able to watch professionals play live. It was such an experience for them, and they just being inside of that atmosphere and that environment. It's a shame that that the live events aren't something that are postponed. But we're so looking forward to getting back out there and getting to connect just getting to connect with people.
And you also have to notice, though, that a lot of the colleges have travel bans where they're not going to be traveling at all in the fall. So that already will knock out a lot of schools, and then that affects if you're even going to try to put a tournament on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So esports, PC or mobile?
PC.
Yeah. PC. Oh yeah.
So then I know the question or the answer already. Offline or online?
On. Gotta be on.
Absolutely.
Your favorite esports league?
Oh. Good question.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's so I started playing League of Legends when the game first came out, so that might date me a little bit, but it's okay. I started playing it in college, and that's how like I got like my a good friend group, and that's kind of really what kick-started my I loved video games the whole time, but like being able to like play League of Legends and seeing how the NALCS, like it started from a bunch of guys coming together calling themselves TSM and posting videos on YouTube. They created a team, and then this league happened with some other people, and now it's this huge like behemoth. So I think League of Legends, the NALCS holds a special place in my heart for that reason. But having a really good Rocket League team has got me really into Rocket League as well. So I've been really enjoying and loving, what Rocket League has done as well. One of my favorite professional organizations has a team in both League of Legends and Rocket League. So kind of a toss-up for me between those two leagues.
Yeah.
I'm League all the way. That's really where I'm fully invested. I know a lot in that realm, and that's what I follow most. And also on my business side, that's just where I feel most comfortable.
Yeah. A more serious topic, because also the people that are watching, there might be young girls there. There might be different kind of religion, skin. We have gone through quite some challenges lately where we have to look again how we basically onboard new employees, how we onboard new players. If you look at skins of color, if you look at women, do you think esports is diverse enough? Just straight up.
I don't think publicly it is not.
No.
I think there is a lot of inclusivity in general. People are participating, but it's not been brought to the public yet, or they're not competing, or they don't want to compete, right? Because of the scrutiny that can come with that. And the toxicity of being online and a girl, right? Like I don't put my mic on when I play.
Yeah. But is there, okay, the harassment part is another part, but is there a Tiger Woods of esports? The fact you can't answer is already an answer.
Based on skill level?
Well, yeah, I mean, being extremely good or actually well known in esports. I mean, the esports is mainly Asian, so if you really look at it, I have to say no. And come to think of it, the top 10 esports pros, I didn't see any girls, women in there. So those two things, I mean, it's kind of strange. I would like your opinion on it. So we basically look with esports, we're a subsegment of gaming, or we are the icing around the cake of gaming. Gaming is $150 billion. I mean, that's almost as big as movies, music, etc. And so we're young people. Average age is young. People that participate by playing, people that develop, and then you have the old dudes like me. So you would say, and you would reckon that with that, the chances of participating, successful, being part of the organization, community, platform, industry, it hasn't really been hitting home there, I guess, because, yeah, if I ask one question like, hey, who would that be? I have to say, it's not something that I'm attacking you guys on, but what do you feel? What should be done? I mean, you guys obviously do well. You as females are now into esports. You have a leading role. You have an example role. Your thoughts, your opinion. What should be done?
Big question. I think, just, kind of being in the roles that we are, I think that is it's helpful for what we're able to do now, but we do need to continue to grow the amount of women leaders within esports. I would say a lot of the like you said, if you look at who the top 10 might be, there are no females on that list. There's so much more that's behind the scenes where you've got the women in the leadership roles, and that's just not something like Dana had said, that's just not something that's really touched on. It's not something that's promoted, because a lot of the gaming organizations are promoting their players and promoting they placed X amount in this tournament, they won this amount of money. So it's not something that's brought to the public's eye maybe as often as it should. But one of my
We
favorite,
stay on the safe side.
yeah,
Because there is no physical. I mean, both have to eat. Man and female have to eat healthy diet, do gym, and then we're sitting behind a PC, because both of you guys said PC. So I'm sitting behind my PC. Everything is equal at that point, right? I mean, I would say that women might even be more smarter than we are.
I mean, I won't argue with you there.
I think what's really interesting is that we're not seeing them necessarily on the playing stage because of the culture that was created around it, but now we're in that movement of where it's going to get better, hopefully, for the female gamers, and just in general, any race, ethnicity, any of that, to try to get them in the forefront. But in the management roles, right, you have Yvette, who is running ESL, North American President, CEO. You have Nicole Jameson, head of EG. Like, these are women that, and you have Lena at TSM, those kind of things, like those roles. And in the management sectors, we are starting to see more influence there. And I think that's what's exciting too for girls to see, if we want to talk about the female population.
So that's good. So we're seeing women getting into leading position, which is already more than with soccer or with NASCAR, I would say. So that's good. But on the player side, are you basically, if you're now looking at getting students in, are you focusing more on getting more girls in that actually can play? Yeah, because
I'm seeing more too now. In the last from year 1 to year 4, I will have, I believe, 6 girls this year, which is actually pretty good for me. I think here, and all playing as well as doing content, all of those things. So that's a big jump for us. We had none. And most of them, their comment was, "We saw you there."
Yeah.
So that also does play a factor. You have to
role model,
right?
Yeah.
I would not have stopped at this table if you were not sitting here. That's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah. For us, we've got I think we'll have about 3 right now, three female. My first team that I ever had, our starting semester, when I only had 1 League of Legends team, 3 out of 7 were female, which is absolutely unheard of. Like, that's bananas. Wow. So I think, and like she said, they will come to you, and they will literally, like, they will say, like, it's you being in the role that you are. Like, they know that they're walking into an environment that is going to be inclusive. They're walking into an environment where they know that things aren't going to happen to them based on their gender. Everybody, like you said, we're all sitting behind the same PCs. We're all the same, playing field. We're all teammates, so I think they see us where we're at, and they know that they're going to be included, and they know that, it's just going to be a safe environment for them.
I would say it's also changed the dynamic too for our male participants. They have learned to deal with a female leadership role that sometimes they likely never had in this industry. And it's a natural thing for them here now. Like, they think nothing different of it that I'm here, or that AJ is there. They respect us if not the same or more than their male peers, and that's something that should go for a lot of us to continue to strive for and teach them those well-rounded skills, right, of how they're going to have to interact in the future.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite, I will say quickly, one of my favorite examples of actual like women, females playing the game. My favorite example is Team Dignitas's all-female CS:GO team. They are really, really good at what they do. You know, they play really well, but they're also, you know, really they're just really into making sure again that they kind of get the message out there that hey, they're females, they're playing on a professional team at a professional level. You know, trying to again be that role model and show others that are wanting to, but maybe a little intimidated, maybe a little concerned. You know, just another facet of, you know, trying to be able to show them that, you know, this is a space for everybody.
Going to the last question, and it's one where I want you guys to dream. It's July the 16th, 2030. How does your school program, university look like? And where will you be?
That's a good one.
Well, I better have a standalone building at that time. That's mine.
There you go.
You mean your own campus?
Floors.
Yeah.
A building that's got 2 floors, maybe 3.
Yeah.
You got about 24/7. You're actually streaming. You got about 5 pro teams.
That
Women
would be
and male are equal.
Yeah.
At the collegiate level, definitely striving to get our own standalone building area on campus where we get all that feasibility. We're treated exactly the same. Full outfitted staff, a coach per team, content, production. I want all of it. I've been trying. And I'm going to be getting my my first employee actually coming on this fall, which is very exciting for us to have that growth in 4 years. So,
Yeah, I think for me, what I would, because I want all of that, but I think what I would also add, you know, this summer I've been working on, you know, like an academic program, so to be able to offer a minor in esports management or a major. So I want to get that added into the university system. And Park University, we actually, like, our flagship campus is in Kansas City, but we've got over 60 across America. So, you know, let's put up esports programs all over there too. You know, I think just kind of keep building not only on our own home campus, but offering it up to some of our other campuses that have really large in-person student populations, I think would be a big one for me as well.
Yeah. You couldn't dream any bigger?
In 10 years, I likely am not going to be at the collegiate level. I will say that.
Nice.
Okay.
I like that.
That's not in my plan. Sorry, Grandview, if my boss is watching.
I think, you know, we recently in Kansas City, we've started a Kansas City Esports Coalition. So what we're trying to do within the Kansas City area is be able to connect, you know, the casual gamers, the competitive gamers, create a pipeline, have career opportunities for esports individuals in Kansas City. So we're trying to do a lot of things within the Kansas City area. You know, if it comes to a point where Kansas City, like if we become the new Florida Mayhem, you know, maybe if we get a, you know, professional team within Kansas City, you know, that might be really fun to go to go see what that might be like.
Yeah. If you happen, so this is really the last one, because I think you guys have really done great. I mean, from the perspective of getting a sense, I mean, I really think, as I said in the beginning, I'm getting a scholarship, being involved in while you being in school with esports. That's enormous. Looking at the audience right now, as we discussed, that's my son now walking in. What kind of message would you like to give the audience when it comes to esports? What do you think is really important for them to know, to treasure when it comes to esports?
I'll let you go first, Dana.
Esports is not going anywhere. I can tell you that from a business perspective as well as just a viewer player perspective, people are going to still always be playing games, and it's going to become more prevalent. It's going to get just to be that much larger. Now, one of the things is people talk about that bubble, right? So whenever that plays out, esports is always still going to be there. It's extremely important to develop the skills in many ways, right? Communication, teamwork, life skills. That is what esports is about, and that's what we're doing at the collegiate level. And it's extremely important that we educate this system that has not been exposed to it before. You know, a new generation is trying to teach an older generation that this is a real thing, and it's a potential business opportunity and an educational opportunity. Just continuing to take it by the horns, right, and just keep going.
Cool.
Yeah. I would agree. I think really we have only scratched the surface for esports. I think that there's still so much to be done. I mean, even collegiate esports is still, you know, we're still trying to
We're baby stages yet.
Yeah, we're still trying to, you know, lack of a better term, we're still trying to get our crap together. So, you know, I think we're just now scratching the surface. You know, I think the professional leagues, you know, they've been well established. They've been around for a while. You know, high schools, you know, they're starting to get into it. They're starting to create programs, you know, and get their high school students into programs like this. So, you know, I think the more that those two areas get flushed out to start that education and to start that education early and at the right stages, that's only going to benefit the collegiate scene and overall the professional scene as well.
Cool. I think we had a good session. As you said, we scratched the surface, but I mean, also knowing that not a lot of people are aware of esports. I mean, we walk around it every day. We know what it means. We know what kind of games are being played. You both are choosing PC, but there is a lot of group also choosing for mobile. So mobile esports is coming up. I mean, more and more brands. I'm still amazed that we have Mercedes, Audi. I mean, why the hell are they already sponsoring? I mean, everyone is seeing that esports is reaching a large audience, and by now it's not only kids, it's even an older generation. I mean, it can go up even up to 88. I mean, your mom and dad can watch, but your grandfather too. I mean, you could actually sit in the couch 3 generations and watch. I mean, it's not stupid. It's okay. It's allowed. You're not a nerd anymore. A lot of things that people thought about esports are slowly washed off, and it's amazing to see you guys here today. I didn't want to actually start about diversity because a couple of weeks ago I wrote an article where I said, like, okay, Microsoft 150 million to 2025 to get diverse. I mean, that should be by heart, and even, well, I think a lot of people that I work with, we don't even look at color. We look at people that are enthusiastic about gaming, about bringing something like entertainment. And I think today, I always said entertainment is gaming, but now I say gaming is entertainment. And you go for it, and I think you're doing a wonderful job in both locations and for the students. And although it's 3 and it's 6 girls, you know, times 10, that doubles, and there you go. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the conversation, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
You too.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much, Reinout. I think you did an excellent job at moderating, and, you know, I mean, I think one of the things that I was just saying to you, AJ, I love your contagious laughter. It's infection. It's contagious. And I think it brings so much energy, right? And I can totally see that trickling over to all of the teams that you coach. And I think absolutely, I'm in awe of both of you for doing what you're doing, because this is so heartening to see. I think the role models aspect that you highlighted, Reinout, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I think that comes back again and again. We would love to host your teams. We would love to host the females on different teams that you're talking about. We would love to have them and, you know, really be like beacons of hope for so many other young girls, right? I think that's so important. And we need male allies always. So thank you, Reinout. The other thing I think, Dana, in your final note, right, when you're talking about the message that you want to give away, that this is here to stay. And I mean, you know, in Pakistan, for instance, I see that not a lot of people know about this. Not a lot of people are engaging with esports. Whereas I think, especially because of COVID world, I really hope that we are going to jump on this bandwagon and really start taking this seriously. So yes, I look forward to, while we're doing this in future, look forward to your advice, support, whatever feedback you can give us. And thank you once again for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so this was our 15th session on Epiphany Talks, and we had a fantastic panel as usual. We're very, very lucky to see all of the support coming in for stuff that we want to do, all these learning webinars that we're trying to put together. Tomorrow, we have an Epiphany Talks special, which fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. It depends on how you want to look at it, but I'm really excited about hosting Carl, who is the author of the Fair Share Model, a performance-based capital structure for venture stage initial public offerings. And the idea behind this particular session is to talk about the drivers of valuation. So we know that a lot of times startups are looking for investment, and they keep coming back to us again and again about valuation. So this is something that Carl is absolutely an expert on. So tomorrow evening, again, 8 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time, which is GMT +5. So we look forward to, so which means 3 p.m. GMT. So we look forward to seeing you guys back tomorrow with Carl. All right then, have a good evening, have a good day, wherever you guys are, and look forward to seeing you guys really, really soon.